Okay, everybody, Shabbat Shalom. So we're going to continue our study of Pirkei Avot, the wisdom of the sages. So you have tonight's text in front of you. I will read it in English, just for everybody who's watching on the live stream, and we'll study the Hebrew text because the clear understanding of the Hebrew is going to be important to really digest the meaning and I think the power of this text that we're studying tonight. So Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa, who was one of the Talmudic rabbis, said the following: anyone whose fear of sin precedes his wisdom is enduring. But anyone whose wisdom precedes his fear of sin, his wisdom is not enduring. He also used to say a very similar text: anyone whose deeds exceed his wisdom is enduring. But anyone whose wisdom exceeds his deeds, his wisdom is not enduring. So what's critical to understand in trying to figure out what Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa is talking about is the meaning of fear of sin. And in Hebrew, the phrase for fear of sin is yirat chet. Chet in Hebrew is sin. Yirah is translated here as sin. But fear is really not a good translation of the Hebrew word yirah. The Hebrew word yirah really means to revere or to almost be in awe of. And yirat chet, what it means in this context is that you understand the power of sinful behavior. You understand how tempting it can be to sort of go down that rabbit hole, to commit a sin, to do something that is immoral or unjust. And once you start doing that, it sort of snowballs. You just kind of keep going. It's very hard to resist that temptation. You have to train yourself to not do that. Think about so many situations where people are tempted, to just cheat a little bit on their taxes. The government's not going to miss it, right? Just take a little bit. Or if you're in a position where you're handling funds, just skim a little bit off the top. Just take a little bit for yourself, especially if you're in a situation where it seems like everybody else is doing that. So it's sort of relative. So why not you also? I'm watching a show on Netflix right now, and one of the characters is an FBI agent in Miami, and he feels like all the other agents, probably not all of them, but are like on the take, right? They're in bed with, whatever, the mob, the mafia, whatever you have, and they're all kind of looking the other way. They're all filling their pockets. And so this agent finally tries to do the same thing, and it ultimately leads to, I don't know if it leads to his demise yet. I haven't seen that episode, but it looks like it's going pretty bad for this guy. And what's happened with him is that he tried to blackmail someone who was laundering money, and it led to, he had to keep covering up what he was doing, and he wound up killing another agent, and it's a mess. It's a mess. The temptation to get ahead, to do something immoral, can be very strong. And so yirat chet in this sense is you have to discipline yourself to not, against that temptation, to not do that. And so in that context, what Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa is saying, that if you could be the smartest person in the world, but if you haven't disciplined yourself against yirat chet, you'll be tempted to commit immoral behavior. And so what does it matter how wise you are? You won't be applying your wisdom because you'll be making mistakes. You'll be tempted to do things you're not supposed to be doing, to commit immoral acts. That's what Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa is really worried about here. And then similarly, in the second part of his teaching, he talks about deeds, acts of kindness, the things that we're supposed to do in the world to make the world a better place. And what does he say? Anyone whose deeds exceeds his wisdom will endure. But if his wisdom exceeds his deeds, then his wisdom will not endure. So I think it's somewhat similar. Again, you could be the smartest person on the planet, but if you're not taking your smarts and applying it to the world, to make the world a better place, to help your fellow human beings, what's the point of being so smart? Well, you're going to put all your wisdom and put it in a little jar and cover it up, and it's just going to exist in a vacuum, and you'll be so proud of how smart you are? What's the point of that? So Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa is telling us that wisdom is great. The pursuit of knowledge is fantastic. And I think I kind of read into this that he's worried about our hubris, that we'll think, oh, I just have to, study and keep applying myself, and I'll get smarter and smarter, which society values, and that's all that matters. No. If you don't take your wisdom, which by the way is God-given because God gave us a brain, if you don't take that wisdom and apply it in these ways, resist that temptation to go down the wrong path, apply your wisdom to make the world a better place. If you don't do those things, then what's the point of gaining knowledge? What's the point if you don't apply it? So it's really, I think it's a beautiful text. And by the way, in preparing, these lessons from Pirkei Avot, I used this volume of Pirkei Avot. It's Pirkei Avot Lev Shalem. This is made by the same people, the Rabbinical Assembly, my union, if you will, who created our Machzor that we've been using for the past couple of years. And this year we'll be transitioning to Sidur Lev Shalem, the new prayer book that's all in this same series. It's a beautiful, beautiful text with beautiful commentary. So I really enjoy preparing these texts using the Pirkei Avot Lev Shalem. So that's it. Wisdom has to be applied and it has to be protected against this idea of, you have to have yirat chet. You have to have a reverence, a great respect for the power of sin so that you don't get tripped up by it. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.